Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video, come join me for a session with my beautiful client as we do a custom color for her. But before we get started, I would love and appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. Also, comment below if you would love to see more videos like this. Let's get started. I had a quick conversation with my client as I was getting the foils ready and mixing up the lightener. So we have decided for her hair today, because it's been a while since she's had a lightening session done, that it was time to kind of do more so a full head. Sometimes we just do kind of a maintenance touch-up where we do a little bit of lightening kind of in the high impact areas where you would see, so that we had a mixture of dimension of her natural but also pops of lightness. It's really one of my most favorite things about brunettes is having the contrast and the depth between the light and the dark. In all of my clients, I tend to start in the back if we're doing a full foil in the hair, because it gives me more control, and if I need to rinse out the foils that we started off with, it's a lot easier to do that when they're in the back, because then it's just the easiest without getting any of the other sections or any of the other foils wet. I also love mixing different developers and levels of lightener. So what that means is you can mix a lightener to its power. So if you use a lower developer, it takes a lot longer, and so if it's lower, it's slower. If it's higher, it goes faster. So when I mix it lower, it gives me the time and control to make sure that my client's hair and the integrity of it is intact and keep it as healthy as possible. Because there's no point of getting somebody nice bright blonde if we don't have the health of the hair. So as I go through her hair, I really love to be very careful and pick out any pre-lightened pieces, because they don't need to be lighter, and if you do over lighten hair, it tends to break off. I like to call it a lightener haircut, but it's not a good thing and you don't want that. So a funny story with my client that I'm doing in this video. We have been doing her hair, so we've known each other for, I was thinking, almost 4 or 5 years since I started doing her hair. And she was actually recommended to me from another client. And we didn't really get that we knew each other. Like, we were more connected than just client and hairstylist relationship. So it was super funny because like the first 2 years, like we were doing her hair, we just kind of talked and, just like, I want to say more like surface stuff, and we didn't really get too personal and, share too much of like our personal lives. So one day we finally realized when we did get a little bit more deep, but it's awesome because that's kind of how relationships happen, and that's like a big thing with me as a hairstylist with my clients. It's over time we create a really deep bond and relationship the longer I work on or do somebody's hair. So yeah, it was really cool. And it's really nice because I'm continuing to do her hair and we get to catch up. And yeah, I feel like it's more like not working. It's like being able to just hang out with a really good friend and beautify them. So as I finish up the back, I move to the front. I really like working on the hairline with a lower developer because the hairline in and around the face especially, and on the back of the neck, is really delicate. So you have to be very careful. And one of the ways is using something not so aggressive for lightener. So I would go in with a diagonal placement, meaning that it's a little bit on a slant so that as the foils grow out, we don't see so much more lines. It just grows out very soft. And then I work my way to the other side. And then once I get the sides done, and again, the reason why I do the sides before I do the top is because it's easier if they're finished lightening before the top is, it's a lot easier to rinse out the sides than to try rinse out the top and not get the sides. So I'd have to say that custom colors are probably my most favorite, and meaning custom, and I guess mostly like every color I do is pretty much custom because it's just what people want to see for their hair, but giving them exactly what they're wanting, or doing what their hair type needs, it just creates a whole other experience, but also an elevated hair experience. And here I ended up opening the door because it was getting a little hot in this session, because I think I was foiling like a mad woman. Her foils took me about an hour and a half. And that's usually if I'm doing kind of more so like a full head or tons of foiling, it usually falls in and around there, especially for brunettes, just because if they have previous lightening, it's very tedious to go through and just make sure that I'm picking out any light pieces so that I don't, end up going back over it with lightener and causing breakage because it's over lightened. So we were getting kind of near to the end, and I was just finishing up her top foils. And then what was going to happen was, once the top foils were in, we would check the very back where we started, because like I said, it took me about an hour and a half. So those foils in the back were sitting a lot longer than, most of the foils that we had just done. So this is finally done foiling. Look at all those foils, and you can kind of see, that she had quite a bit of lightness, but it was kind of dulled out just because it's been such a long time since I've seen her and since we've done a lightening session. I think she was at anywhere between 5 to 6 months since the last time we lightened her hair. So once I was done with lightening and her hair was to our desired level, we rinsed her and I brought her back to the chair because I wanted a little bit more control with doing her root smudge and toner. So what a root smudge is, toner / color that will help smudge out and really get rid of any sorts of like foil lines, but it also helps just melt it together, the highlights and the natural color, just so that it grows out super soft and super transitional. And then once I got her root smudge in, I went in with her toner and really just melted them together. And it was super important to make sure that we didn't have the root smudge touching any of the pre-lightened hair, just because it would definitely cause marks and darken it, and we didn't want any like spots or splotches on the hair. Once we got everything in, we let her sit, and then there's the gloss and the toner in there, and we let it sit for about 20 minutes just to get the full toning effect, just because her hair was quite warm and her ends, the pre-lightened ends, really needed the toner to get any of that brassiness out. And once she was done, we actually used the K-Teen treatment and bonder. So it helps to keep the hair strong, and it rebuilds and strengthens the hair after any sorts of like chemically changing or damage to the hair. And then we were just gonna get her dry, because before, we didn't want to do a full-on haircut because we were still growing her hair out. So sometimes if we're just kind of cleaning up and shaping, I really like to do dry cutting. It just gives me more control, and it also just lets me see where the hair really needs to be cleaned up and cut. Because a lot of the times I feel like sometimes you don't need a major amount off the ends. It may just need a little bit more, so in a little bit of a cleanup or just taking off the split ends. So I love blow drying with, it's called the Bradford brush from Evo. It has the boar bristles, and it just helps to make the hair look so shiny and soft. And then once we had her all dry, like I said, we went in and we cleaned off the ends, and you can just kind of see the hair transform as I'm going through it. And like I said, she didn't need a ton off the ends. She just kind of needed like the very splits and the very ends cleaned up. And I'm just going through and cleaning up the layers and just kind of like reshaping and just making sure everything was healthy and happy. And then she also had a little bit more of a bang happening. So I just went in and just kind of texturized and just shaped it out so that it was a little bit softer. So she had a little bit more versatility in the way she wanted to wear them. They were self-cut before she came and seen me, but that's okay. Bangs are a little bit different. I feel like because bangs are a little bit more high maintenance, honestly, when people go and clean them up themselves, it's not a big deal. But yeah, we just shaped them and got them a little more texturized so they can sit a little bit softer, and she had more versatility. And then to finish, one of my favorites is just going in with a very soft wave, especially for brunettes when they have that depth and that darkness mixed in with that light, because it really makes those light pieces pop. So here is her before, and here is her after. I am obsessed. I just love all those light, bright pieces pop in with that natural blend with her root. Definitely one of my favorites. Thank you for joining and watching my video. And don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up.